beginning, Lindsay?
Sarah, you want to hit one of the lights?
Couldn't that be the beginning?
The right one. Okay, graphing the numbers. All you got to do is put a dot where these numbers are at on the line graph. So 2.5, there's 2, there's 4, so this is 3, so 2.5 would be right in between there. Negative 1.5, there's 0, negative 1, negative 1.5 would be right there. 3/4 is not quite up to 1, so it'd be right about there. It's halfway between a half and 1. Negative 1/3, you're going left, would be right there. Okay, again, you can use calculators on these, but hopefully you guys know the rules enough where you can just whip through these without a calculator. On a subtract, you change a sign, change a sign. So negative 3 plus a 6 is 3. Remember, when you add it, you subtract. If the signs are different, you subtract it, keep the sign at a bigger number. Ever remember what the two straight lines mean?
Absolute value.
Absolute value, which just means it's positive every single time. So this is 4. Absolute value is used for distance, and distance is never negative. An add problem, so you don't change any signs. Since the signs are different, you actually subtract them. 16 minus 7 is 9, and you keep the sign at a bigger number. Here there's two subtracts. So on this subtract, you change the sign, change the sign. On this subtract, you change the sign, change the sign. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 plus a negative 4 is 4. Absolute value here, so simplify that first. That would change to a 2, so 4 minus 2 is 2. So on this one, you don't change the sign, change the sign. You got to simplify this first, and then you do your subtract. Number 8, there's a subtract, so you can change the sign, change the sign. And now it's all an add problem, so you could do it in different order. 10 plus 2 is 12, and then plus a negative 5 means you got to subtract them. 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay, Broncos quarterback was sacked and lost 20, so that's negative 20 on first down. On second down, a 25-yard pass was completed, so that's plus 25. On third, they rushed for 6. Did they get a first down, and how many net yards did they gain? So first down's 10 yards. So what you got to do is figure this out. This is a total of 31, but then they lost 20, so how much did they gain? 11. So the answer is yes. Yes, they gained 11 yards.
We have to label.
Well, you wouldn't have to. Okay, Connor is scuba diving at a depth of 52.8, so that's negative 52.8 feet below sea level. 30 minutes later, he's at a depth of 40 feet below sea level. What is this change in depth? Did he go up or down?
Up.
He went up.
Yeah.
So in order to find change, anytime they ask for change, you have to subtract. So if we subtract these two, you got to use your subtract rules. Change the sign, change the sign. The signs are different, so you subtract them. 52.8 minus 40 is 12.8. And since they're just asking for change, it's just a positive distance, which actually they went up, so it would be 12.8 feet up. I should show you, anytime you find a change in something, it is an absolute value, so that's why it's just going to be positive when you're finding the change. Okay, evaluating, again, you can use the calculator. All you got to do is put 11 in here, so it's negative 4 times 11 is negative 44. Put negative 2 in here, so it's negative 2 cubed. Now again, the exponents, they don't have any here, but on the test there is. If it's an odd exponent, you don't need to worry about it. It's only on the evens. If this was a negative 2, say they had x squared. That means you take whatever x is and square it. So that means you take negative 2 times negative 2 and get positive 4. But if it's ever written like this, There, it's only the 2 that's being squared, and the negative stays there. Okay, so those, on the even exponents, you gotta know what the correct way to do it, because the calculator won't do it correctly for you. And then subtract 3. So 2 cubed, it's actually negative 2 cubed, is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. Take away 3 is negative 11. Because we gotta change the sign, change the sign. 4 times x is 12. Take away 3 is 9. Over y, which is negative 3. Remember a fraction, it's top divided by bottom, so that's negative 3. When you do this on a calculator, you have to figure out the top first and the bottom, and then you divide the two. If you punched it in like that, the way it's written, if you just went 4 times 3 minus 3 divided by negative 3, it would be wrong. What you could do is go 4 times 3 minus 3 and then press the equals to figure out what that is, and then divide by the bottom. Okay, here we got to put negative 3 in there. Negative 3 take away 8 is negative 11, but it's an absolute value, so that's positive 11, times negative 4 is negative 44. Negative 2 cubed is negative 8. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and there's an odd amount of negatives, so it's negative. Plus 2 is negative 6. 16, figure out the top, figure out the bottom, and then divide the two. So x is negative 4, y is 2. What's 4 plus negative 4? 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. Remember, you can have 0 on top, you can't on the bottom. If you ever get like 2 divided by 0, that's undefined or no solution. Your calculator say error. I think you guys said that the new iPad calculators say overload. Matrix addition and subtraction.
Oh, I like these.
Ever remember how to do these?
Yes.
All you do is just add the positions. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And then put it in a matrix. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1. 7 plus negative 3 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. So make sure you put it in a matrix. Subtraction. Negative 4, take away a negative 5 is 1. Because remember, you got to change the signs. Change the sign, change the sign. Negative 4, take away 2 is negative 6. 8, take away 1 is 7. Negative 16, take away negative 3 is negative 13.
Could be 3 and 2.
Not
Which one?
2.
3 and
That
2
will
for
be
the
4.
top.
Don't be 4 and 2, be 3 and 2.
You took-
subtracted
Oh, I took the wrong
4
number.
equals 2.
Those two. 3 minus 2 is 1. There we go. So this is like in the assignment also, if you remember. Since these are equal, that means every position has to have the same value in it. So that means A equals negative 8. 3 minus B has to equal 5. So all you can do is just write it down, set it so they're equal to each other, and just solve it. Subtract 3 to get the 3 out of there. So don't forget that's still a negative B. So if negative B is 2, what's positive B? Negative 2. Change the sign, change the sign. C minus 1 has to equal a negative 4. So you just add 1, and you get C equals negative 3. And then here, negative D equals negative 2. So positive D equals positive 2. Just change the sign, change the sign. Simplifying. When they're up against each other, you just multiply them. 5 times a negative x is just negative 5x. Everyone knows what to do on this? Distribute it through. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. You just take everything in the parentheses times the number that's in front of it. Now remember, you can't simplify this any further because they're not like terms. This has a y, this doesn't. So you can't add or subtract them. You're done. This one, it's 2 things over 5, so just simplify each one. Negative 10x over 5, negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2x. Then 3 over 5, can it be simplified? So you just put plus 3/5. So you just simplify each one by 5. Negative times negative times negative is negative, because 2 of them will cancel and there's 1 left. There's a 6. And what's a times a times a?
A third.
A to the third, yep. Remember, a plus a is 3 a's, but when you multiply them, you add the exponents. So even there isn't any exponent listed, if there's nothing there, that means it's a 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Here they didn't write it like a fraction, so if you changed it to a fraction, negative 6y divided by negative 3, the negatives would cancel. 6 over 3 is 2, and then there's a y. Everyone remember what to do when you divide? You do change it to a multiply. Right. You take the first one times the reciprocal of the second. Then it's just top times top, bottom times bottom. But to save yourself from simplifying, try to cross cancel. Remember, you can't cross cancel when you're adding fractions, but when you're multiplying them, you can. I can divide both these by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So top, c times 2 is 2c. 1 times 5 is 5. These two are just distributive properties. They just put the number in the back instead of the front. So take everything inside here by negative 3. Negative 3 times m is negative 3m. Negative 3 times negative 7 is positive 21. Make sure you get those signs correct. A lot of times people just keep the same sign that's there, which a lot of times it's right, but if this is a negative, it's going to change it. Here, take everything times 2. 2 times t is 2t. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. 28, 2 things over 1, so simplify these first. Negative 32 over negative 8 is positive 4. Then simplify this. Negative 4 over negative 8 is positive. 4 over 8 is 1/2, right? So it'd be 1x over 2, which you don't need the 1, you would just put x over 2. Because technically, if you put 1x, that's not simplified all the way, because 1 times x is just x. Another divide, so you take the first one times the reciprocal of this, so make it a fraction, and then reciprocal it. So it's top times top, bottom times bottom. Nothing will cross cancel. Distributive property, 8 times x is 8x. 8 times 5 is positive 40. And you're done. Divide problem, so you take the first times the reciprocal of the second. So here we can cross cancel the 4's. They both go into each other once. We can cross cancel the 3's. So what's the only thing left?
1.
1b, which is just b. Okay, then the probability stuff. All right, there's 220 students listed in the table, so make sure you read the directions, it'll save you time, otherwise you'd have to add them all up. The probability a randomly chose student said science. That'd be 50 out of 220. Remember, probability is what you want over the total. You don't need to reduce, but you could. You could just cross the zeros off. It'd be 5 out of 22. Randomly chose English. English is 30 out of 220. 30 English, 220 total. And again, you could simplify it 20 seconds. Randomly chose math. That'd be 35 out of 220. Not as easy to simplify, but you could divide them both by 5 if you wanted to. And you'd get 7/44. Randomly chosen did not say math. So what do you do when they said it's not math?
Add them all up inside math.
Everything except math. So there's 35 math and there's 220. So you could add all these up, or you could just subtract these two. That'd be 185, right? 20, 35, yep. So it would be 185 out of the 220. And again, you don't need to simplify, but you could divide them both by 5. Then you'd get 37/44. That's it. Should be easy, yeah.
I'll probably